Good afternoon and welcome everyone to C Talks, a series of interviews featuring NPL leaders organized by DD Talks. My name is Jose Maria Gil-Robles. I'm the head of the corporate and M&A team at Dla Piper in Madrid. I've been doing NPL stuff for about 10 years now. And I'm here with Javier García today from Sareb. Javier, can you introduce yourself and tell the audience what you do at Sareb?
Thank you, Jose Maria and DD Talks team for allowing us to participate in this interview. Well, I joined Sareb last February to become the CEO of the company. Prior to this, I have been the CEO of Solvia, that is one of the leading servicers in Spain, a company that I joined in 2010. Before that, I have been working in several sectors, such as the aeronautic industry and the consultancy, where I was a project leader in the Boston Consulting Group.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Javier. I think we can start. Maybe I have some questions, hopefully not all of them too sensitive. First one is obviously, and with the one that most of my clients make me regularly, which is, I mean, how all this is going to affect the market. I mean, before the pandemic, the Spanish market was understood to be 3 billion euros wide, and that there were non-performing assets in the hands of banks, about 35%, already traded to investors about 43-45%, and the rest in the hands of Sareb. I've seen estimations of an extra 100 billion euros hitting the market as a consequence of what it is going on. I mean, what's your perception? What's the view of Sareb on what's going to be the impact of COVID in terms of the size of the Spanish market?
Well, to be honest, Jose Maria, in Sareb, probably we are not the player tracking most this situation, because according to our mandate, we are quite focused in the assets we already manage. The reason is our mandate is restricted to the assets we acquired in 2012, and also other reasons. Our loans portfolio was non-performing even before this pandemic situation. In any case, I think that it's too early to anticipate what could be the volume of NPLs in the Spanish market, and of course, it will depend on the length of the pandemic situation. Without this second wave, I could have expected that the effect of the crisis was going to be low or not significant. With this second wave, we are a bit more worried. In any case, as explained, it will depend on the length of the situation. So, although there are other levers that help Spain not to generate a high volume of NPLs, one of course is the instruments deployed by the European authorities, and the second is the nature of the Spanish economy, that in other crises have reacted in a better way than the estimations we had. So let's see. It's so early, but my personal opinion is that 100 billion euros is probably an overestimation. Although on the other hand, Spain is going to continue being a very attractive market for NPL investment, and of course because of this situation.
Thanks, Javier. And how has COVID affected Sareb so far in terms of a pace of divestment and volumes of divestments? Have you been forced to reduce or to slow your divestments, or things are pretty much back to where we were before COVID?
No, we have adapted our short-term strategy this year, reacting to the situation. I mean, we have a strategy since 2019 of preserving or protecting the value of our portfolio. That means being very cautious about how we divest the assets, always looking for the best solution or the solution that provides us a better price. And because of that, in the short term, what we have decided is to continue our selling activity, but moderating the pressure. I mean, if we can sell an asset at a better price in 2021, for example, we wait. But at the same time, we continue our selling activity. We are being quite proactive in the selling campaigns, and of course that we are generating sales in this year. In any case, what we are seeing in the market, according to data we manage in the company, and also by seeing the daily activity of the company, is that in the first 7 months of the year, transactions have decreased at about 30%. But the good point is that the activity in July and August has recovered significantly. In July, transactions have been only 10% lower than in the previous year, and in August they have been comparable to the previous year, so good news. The only concern is, let's see how the behavior of the market is in September and the last part of the year, according to the current pandemic situation. In our opinion, the reason for this good recovery of the transactions is that the home buyers in Spain is a profile with a level of savings and wage higher than the average. And unfortunately for other citizens, this crisis is affecting more other more vulnerable layers of the population. And because of that, in our opinion, the level of transactions, although it's affected, is less affected than some people could think. For example, in new developments, the behavior of the market after April and May, after the end of the state of alarm, is incredibly good. And on the other hand, land and tertiary asset transactions is more affected. Every type of asset where the transaction is more related to an investment decision, the volume of transactions is a bit more affected than in the residential sector.
And what about prices? I mean, talking to investors, they regularly say that on the one hand, they obviously need to ask for a higher return to reflect the higher uncertainty, and also they complain about the lack of financing, the little availability for financing for their acquisitions, which means that inevitably there needs to be some pressure on prices. Are you seeing that? Is it applies across the different asset classes, or you haven't seen that yet?
Well, concerning institutional sales, it is true that after the last March, the transactions have been interrupted, and I think that they will recover when both sellers and buyers have more data about which is going to be the behavior of the market. I mean, which is going to be the behavior of the housing market, the buyers, and in fact how they can divest the portfolios that they can acquire. In this institutional sense, of course, that what we are seeing in the market is that there is concern about the possibility of financing transactions. And the other questions that you made about the prices in the market, what we are seeing is that public statistics are not reflecting at this moment a decrease in prices, but we expect that in the residential market, for example, prices can decrease at about 10-12%, with a recovery to the previous situation at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. In fact, many big portfolio owners have anticipated this decrease in the prices in the commercial campaigns that they are doing, and we have done the same. In other asset classes, such as land or tertiary assets, what we think is, if you calculate what could be the effect in the land with residential use of this decrease in the price of the housing market, the decrease in the price of the land could be quite significant. But in practical terms, there are not going to be relevant transactions until both sellers and buyers feel that the market is recovery from the lowest part of this situation, and at the time transactions will recover, the expectative in the price will be better. So we don't expect a significant impact in price, but because the volume of transactions in land and tertiary assets is going to be reduced in these months.
Regarding financing, I mean, if banks remain closed for business in the NPL space in terms of providing financing to investors, will Sareb consider giving that financing, deferring payment of the price of the assets regularly, or it's not something you'll consider?
Well, it's something we have done in the past, even in the pre-COVID situation, mm-hmm. And it's something we can consider for portfolio transactions. It is true, on the other hand, that is not the option that we prefer. For example, this year we have received certain interesting offers that required vendor finance by Sareb, and we have decided not to do, waiting for the banking finance to return next year. But it's something that we have done, as I was explaining, and that we will do in the future. But it's something we analyze transaction by transaction, more than having a general policy of financing every portfolio that we sell.
Okay. Understood. And what about your new, let's say, plan to accelerate the conversion of loans into hard assets? Has it been affected by COVID, or you need to revisit it, considering that courts nowadays are a bit overwhelmed by new activity, or you feel that is still perfectly valid in these difficult times?
In terms of strategy, we think that is perfectly valid because, first of all, because we have been affected during March, April, and May, but the recovery of the NPL to REO conversion after the end of the state of alarm is significant, and we are going to finish the year with numbers relatively lower than we predicted before the COVID crisis, but very similar. So in general terms, the activity is not being severely affected. So in terms of a strategy, considering also what is our funding cost, we will maintain this strategy of converting NPLs into REOs, because it's a way to optimize the value of the exposure. There is converting NPL to REO, managing the REO, and managing the REO, optimizing the selling price.
Thanks for that. So now a question that might be a bit sensitive, which is squatting. I mean, you open the newspapers today, and it's very difficult not to find several articles about something that is perceived by the Spanish population as a growing problem. Is that your experience? Is it noise that is not backed by, let's say, fundamentals, or you've seen in reality a growing number of cases you have to deal with?
Well, we have to wait a bit about to see which is the social impact of this new scenario. But according to the data that we are managing at this moment, the volume of squatted homes in the Sareb portfolio has maintained constant since last March. So in general, we are not seeing an increase of new squatter compared to the previous situation. What has changed is, as you were explaining, the level of noise that we have in the society, because the problem of squatting is that it's an illegal activity that is affecting the life of people living in many areas of our cities. And the worrying point of this is that the situation has reached a point in which people is affected. I think that in Spain we have to differentiate two things that in my opinion were a little mixed in the last years. One thing is the housing needs that certain layers of population have in Spain. And another different thing is the illegal squatting. And for the housing need, public administration, with the cooperation of the private sector, should react. For example, we in Sareb, we are doing this type of cooperation by providing homes to local authorities that can use them during certain years or during a number of years. And a second thing is illegal squatting that as we hear in the news, is affecting communities, is affecting people's life, and I think that a more regulated or more strict reaction to that would be convenient for Spain.
Last question that I have is, well, the bad bank, the European bad bank, looks like it is an idea that we've all thought it's at different points that it was kind of a dead, but seems to be more resilient than what many of us thought. If it goes ahead, I mean, what are the lessons that they can learn from Sareb? I mean, what are the good and bad lessons that whoever designs the European bad bank or local bad banks equivalent to Sareb should have in mind to get to something that is a success?
Yes, well, of course, about the creation or not creation of a European bad bank, we don't have an opinion because we are focused in our original mandate, and that is the mandate of the company. But thinking about lessons to learn, first lesson is that, of course, bad banks seems to be a good instrument to isolate NPLs and to solve the problems that weak banks could create in an economy. And this is the main lesson we have learned in Spain, that the creation of Sareb in 2012 was a success story in terms of allowing the banking system to focus in healthy business and to recover, and that had a good effect in the Spanish economy. Second lesson learned is that to optimize the recovery from NPAs portfolio, NPLs and RIOs, you need specialization in the management. Probably more specialization that the normal or the traditional management of NPLs that is done by the commercial banking networks. So the creation of a vehicle where you put talent, technology, and processes to manage not only the loans but the collaterals and the underlying business that is in the collateral is the way to optimize the value of your portfolio. So if you create something that provides the portfolio this type of specialization is good for optimizing the recovery of the exposure. And probably the third lesson is that every time you create something like this, it is quite important to design a good and credible business plan to allow this specialized structure to deploy the business in a coherent way. So my point of view is it has been proven that it's a good instrument, but it's key that you install in the instrument this specialized management that allows you to optimize the recovery of the portfolio.
Excellent. Any final comments? Any final thoughts to finish this interview?
No, final thought as we were speaking is, I think that Spain is going to continue being an interesting country to invest in NPLs. Let's see how the situation evolves, but I think that many companies, many professionals in Spain have worked a lot since the last crisis. At this moment in Spain, we have many professional capabilities to deal with NPLs portfolio, and I think that that creates, or that implies, that Spain will continue being an interesting country, because not only there will be opportunities for investing in NPLs, but also compared to the situation we had in 2010 or 2011, at this moment we have many professional capabilities to manage with this portfolio and to make investors to make profit of their investments.
Excellent. Well, Javier, thanks very much for all your thorough explanations. Thanks DD Talks for arranging this, and I think that's it from my side. Thanks everyone.